I thought you would be a Spurs supporter,
I
and
know,
you
but
even end up being with a rival, with Arsenal. Was it the
listen,
red shirts? And why not Liverpool or United, but freaking Arsenal?
you know, football and politics are, this is proven scientifically that first there's an emotional connection, then there's a rationalization of that emotion, right? That it's like that in politics, and it's like that in football. Although in football, usually it's a family tradition. My dad and my grandfather took me to Benfica games, so I grew up as a Benfica supporter. But in London, somehow I felt attracted to Arsenal. And I lived in Chelsea. I lived by King's Road, fairly close to Chelsea. Well, within Chelsea, but fairly close to the grounds of Chelsea. I don't know. I can't explain why Arsenal, but I discovered many years after that. You mentioned Spurs, because Spurs is usually the Jewish team in London, right?
Yes.
The Eads, that's their nickname. I found out that one of my spiritual mentors, Rabbi Sachs, he was also an Arsenal supporter. So
no way.
I'm not the only
Rabbi
Jew.
Sachs was an Arsenal supporter.
He was the chief rabbi of Britain. So,
I remember that man. Yeah. Well, if he would be around now, I would hesitate to bring him to the podcast just because he's an Arsenal supporter. Even though he was one of the most wisest people I've ever heard. He was just fantastic and articulate. He was like the Aristotle of the 21st century.
Absolutely. He was, I would say, probably the foremost Jewish public intellectual of the 20th century. Maybe in terms of popularity, he would probably be at the same level as Bernard-Henri Lévy, but in terms of insight and spirituality, he was the foremost for sure. His last book is a book that I recommend to anyone, Morality. And when we hear the word morality, we think about what we think about. We think about sex. We think about.
You think about sex. I didn't say a word. Huh?